Welcome back to another episode of the CopCast. I'm one of your hosts, Lisa Greenberg.
And I'm Officer Mercedes Simons. Together we make up the Public Affairs Office. We have yet another edition of Chiefs Chat.
Woohoo!
Good morning, ladies.
Good morning. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
Here we are again. He's got the coffee. I didn't bring my coffee.
Oh, that was a pro move. I need to start bringing my coffee.
I always have it.
We need to get our coffee mugs that have the logo on it. And then I'll feel like at least I'm branding by drinking my coffee and not just bragging about my coffee addiction.
We'll do it with the remodel.
Yes.
Okay.
Tease,
Sounds
right?
good.
You
Yes.
Tell them we're remodeling the studio.
We are working towards getting some upgrades in here and changing the layout. You know, when we started this, we were like novice, never before podcasted. We didn't know what we needed. And while this setup has been nice and the chairs are cozy, I think it's time to make something that's a little more practical, maybe a little more polished, better quality.
Little Rogan-esque.
Yeah. Channeling our inner Rogan.
If only we had that many people that listened.
Oh my gosh, that would be incredible.
We have a bit though.
We're on the trend.
We are.
We're coming, Joe. We're coming.
We're coming for you. I know we had a few different things that we wanted to talk about this week, and part of what we were wanting to discuss had to do with a recent, I hate using the word anniversary, but a recent, I guess, milestone from a case that you did an interview on.
I did. One of the local news outlets did a story on the 50th year since Jason Verdow, a local kid, we'll talk about Jason Verdow, was brutally murdered here in Cape Coral. And I was talking to you two yesterday, and I saw your face, was like, huh. Like you didn't, and you wouldn't know, right? And thought you're probably representative of a lot of people. But everybody in Cape Coral knows Verdow Field. If your kids play Little League, they either play Cosa Saladino or Verdow. And why is it called Verdow? Well, it's called Cosa Saladino because those were two pivotal, founding father coaches in Cape Coral Little League. Cosa and Saladino, families that have been involved in Little League forever. But Jason Verdow Park, Memorial Park, was named after Jason. And in 1976, where Cape Coral was very, very young, we were founded in 71, so we're a 5-year-old police department, very small. Jason Verdow, 9-year-old boy who played Little League baseball here. He was a typical kid. When you look at pictures, he looks like any kid from the 70s. Jeans, tight shirts, riding his bike, just a great, vibrant little boy. And he was at his bus stop in Cape Coral, and he was lured away by a man named Arthur Good. And Arthur took him away from the bus stop, brutally sexually battered him, and then murdered him. And it would be an absolute earth-shattering shock today. Think about it in 1976.
Yeah.
It was just, you can't even imagine. And, Arthur Good fled and went to the mid-Atlantic, I believe it was Virginia or Maryland, and did this again and then got caught. He was extradited here, and in 1984, he was executed in the Florida penal system. And in 1984, coincidentally, the year that he was executed for his crime, that's the year I started playing Little League at Jason Verdow Park.
Oh.
So it was really still front of mind for a community back then. We were very, very small in 1984, and it just so happened that was the year that the killer was executed. So it was, we knew who the field was named after, and I remember my mother telling me about it. And it got me thinking. During the interview, we talked about, kind of off camera, why do you think he went with Arthur Good? And if you haven't seen pictures of him and you know the story now that I told you, you probably have a vision in your mind of what the bad guy looks like. And I guarantee you, if you Google Arthur Good, it's not what you think a bad guy looks like. He was a young adult, very boyish looking, very mentally immature. And Jason Verdow had an older sibling, so he probably looked around that same age, so you could see how he might have been able to have been lured. And it got me thinking about stranger danger cases that we put out and messaging that we put out about talk to your kids. And I used a parallel to school shooter training and active shooter training that we've done. And I sat through a seminar many, many years ago about active threats and school shooters. This was shortly after Columbine. So I was a cop before Columbine. Think about that. So we were talking about the new way to police and respond to active threat, right? That's evolved over the years. And if you do any research on Columbine, we don't do it that way anymore. That was the way it was prescribed, but this was a new condition and a new type of threat that we face. So there was a lot of training. There still is, but there was a lot in the beginning because we were changing the model.
Yeah.
And in the model, there's a guy named Grossman, Lieutenant Grossman, military background, and talks about threats and how you psychologically and physiologically respond and also tactically respond. And it's a long story, but in the discussion was his directive to close your eyes and think of the bad guy. And you get sent to a school and you're not going to let this happen to these kids, and you're going to storm it, and you're going to take care of that bad guy. What does that bad guy look like? And you always picture, everybody's different, but it's some big, burly, somebody older. And he said, now imagine it's a 13-year-old pimple-faced kid that's doing the shooting. And it kind of shocks you that, oh my gosh, so the bad guy may not be what you think. And it could be a real startling thing for you in the moment. Move that to the side. Use that same kind of thinking with stranger danger. You picture the big, burly, hairy forearm guy in a van.
Someone creepy looking.
Yeah.
Or what, you know.
And that obviously, no, I'm not going with that person. And you tell your kids, watch out for that. And there's always jokes about the van when you see a van.
Candy.
Candy. Do you want candy? Will you help me? I lost my dog. Things like that. Those are relatively low-hanging fruit. That's easy to talk to your kids about. But when you look at the Jason Verdow case, it wasn't that. It was somebody who probably looked like a teenager to him. And it's a little bit of a shift on stranger danger. And our kids, when you say have conversations with your kids and talk to your kids, it's very abstract. So let's talk specifics on what you talk to them about. And it's very easy. Don't go talk to that guy who's offering candy. But what do you do if it's somebody who knows about Fortnite, Roblox, and starts breaking down those walls and can connect with your kid really quick, right? Hey, I got a way to get V-Bucks. And if you're listening and don't know what that is, that's something that kids use in games. And that could be like, whoa, my mom and dad talked to me about stranger danger. This doesn't look like a stranger. He talks like me. He's young. He looks like me. And you could find yourself being very vulnerable to getting taken or something bad happening to you. So the message that I would put out to parents is when you talk to your kids, it's not always the easy one.
Right.
It's really diving deep and know that those are the ways that your kids can get taken, right? And physically taken or emotionally taken. Yep. And a lot of interaction now is online, social media, or gaming. Gaming is a big thing for kids, and I'm not against it. But the conversations that I've had with my own son, who's a gamer, is who are you talking to, right? He's got headphones on like me and a headset, and he's playing. I get in his business. Who are you talking to? Are these kids from the neighborhood, which he does game with? Are these kids from your class? Or are these strangers? And that's a personal decision and age related, and your own kid, are you going to let them play with strangers? That's okay, but you need to make sure that they're not a digital way of stranger danger. Are they cultivating an unhealthy relationship with your kid? Are they grooming them to meet somewhere? Are they grooming them to send them pictures or break down walls and slowly work on your kid to make them vulnerable? And those are uncomfortable conversations. It's easy to say, watch out for that scary guy over there. Well, kids are naturally not going to go with a scary guy. And you can feel like you've done your job. Well, I talk to my kids about it, but there are kids that get taken and get groomed and get in the digital space victimized.
Yep.
And the reason is because these people are good at doing that, and you need to be better, and you need to talk to them about those kinds of dangers, and sit in your kid's gaming room and watch. Get another headset, or tell them to play without the headset and listen to what's going on. It may not be as bad as, getting groomed to get kidnapped and trafficked, but it could be, I don't like you talking like that.
Right.
Right? We don't use that kind of language. Or I don't like that bullying behavior. I don't like you getting bullied. I don't need you to feel that that's what you have to accept, right? You work on confidence with your kids. You work on real stranger danger, real boys and girls, about confidence and what is acceptable behavior for you to receive and what is simply not. And you can also dovetail that into other conversations that you should be having about stuff that you're going to say in that chat room. Like,
kids can be really mean. They're so
brutal.
mean, and they're competitive. Usually, they're playing with their friends. They call each other all kinds of things,
Names.
and kids have different levels of sensitivity. Like what might not affect me definitely affects you. And I don't know. You know more than I do. Are a lot of those games geared toward playing with online unknown people, or is it usually friends, or a mix?
It's the availability to do both.
Okay.
Right. So it's a mix. So you can jump on a game and you kind of jump in a lobby, and then you join with people. You can invite your friends, like, hey guys, I'll send you a text. Let's get in the lobby, and then we'll go play a game. And then the stranger could jump in, or none of my friends are available, so I'm just going to jump in, and you can get in with anybody. That's all right. Depending on your house and what rules you've set up. But I don't have a problem with it, as long as you work on those boundaries and those what are you going to accept? Are you going to get beat up? Are you going to work? It could be just as bad as Instagram filters where you feel body image issues, right? Those are things that you want to talk to your children about what's fantasy, what's AI, and people don't really look like that. If you're striving to achieve that, there's a lot of dangers there. But you got to make sure that they're not saying, I'll kill you, or I'll come to your house and blow you up, or I'm going to bring this to the school, because then you're getting close to being arrested, right? And there was a case, I think it was in the state. It was in Florida, a kid almost 10 years old. Second time he's done it, but he threatened to come in and come to the school. And sometimes they're joking, or sometimes they really don't know what the heck they're doing. Those are detailed, specific conversations you have to have. That, look, your humor and your edginess is growing. It's not matured yet. You don't know how to do that. This is nothing to fool with. You cannot talk about that stuff at school. A, you shouldn't do that. But B, you're going to get yourself in a lot of trouble. And those are taking the abstract talk to your kids into how you talk to your kids.
Right.
And tell them, you absolutely cannot say that kind of stuff. I know, Dad, or I know, Mom. Keep doing it. It's not a one and done. And all these things, parenting is difficult. You're going to find out when your kid starts talking that there's a lot.
He's still cute right now.
But take advantage of that.
We talked about it about a month or so ago. Don't represent yourself, my name, and our house on your bike, e-bike and wheelie gang stuff. There's always conversations to have with your kids. But it was just interesting that the Jason Verdow conversation kind of
evolved.
It evolved into, well, that's something that a kid could be vulnerable to, because it doesn't meet the paradigm or the mindset of what we talked about with my family about stranger danger. This isn't a stranger. That's not that. He doesn't look like, Bluto from the Popeye cartoon. That's an old reference.
I got it.
Good.
So did
I got that one.
But it's somebody that looks like me, who's a little bit older. He looks like he could be one of my brother's friends or my sister's boyfriend. And people use that to prey on them. So stranger danger and personal safety and online safety, those are specific, individually tailored conversations to your children. And I would really encourage you to have them.
It is important.
Especially as technology changes. Look at, they might not have had the availability to communicate with someone online. Now they do. But now, we can use technology for the worse, or we can use it for the better. And in this case, this past week, we actually used it for the better to work with LCSO to help them with a pretty big drug bust.
Yeah, we did. They have a very premier excellent real-time crime center. And we have a crime center, and they work together. Our intel analysts work with their intel analysts. Fort Myers has one as well. We are one big team in Southwest Florida. So theirs is called the Arctic Real-Time Information Center, Real-Time Intelligence Center. The Arctic notified, because we do it all the time, they notified our crime center, which is the TIAC, the TIAC, the Tactical Intelligence and Analytics Center. It's a mouthful, but they're similar, but a little bit different in the nuance of what they do. But they talk to each other. So LCSO called us and said, we got a hit on a stolen car. We just had a stolen car, and it's going into Cape Coral. Our intelligence center picked up license plate readers and the cameras, and then OnStar started tracking the car. So we had several different levels of technology tracking this car in real time. It went to a retail center. It parked. OnStar told us it's parked. We found out where they were. As our officers were en route to the store, we contacted the store. They used their internal surveillance to go, they're in here. They just got out of that car, walked in. We have them. We got there and took them into custody. And then the sheriff's office showed up because it was their case. And then we searched the car, and there was a significant amount, a ton of drugs and a gun in the car. So the car was recovered, returned. The drugs were off the street. The gun was off the street, and the bad guys went to jail. And that happened in minutes, and it happened in real time. And when we talk about acquiring technology, not just us, but anywhere in law enforcement in Southwest Florida, we acquire this technology. It gets put to use, and it could be your car. You could be next to their next victim. If they got a gun and all those drugs, they're dealing in narcotics, and that brings violence. And it really is a real-time application for it. And it's what your budgets are going for, what your tax dollars are going for across the region, into trained, passionate, intelligent, trained. I said trained twice, but they're super trained.
They're extra trained.
Extra trained people that put it into action and do what you would expect your police department, your sheriff's office, and your local law enforcement to do. So it was a big win.
It's awesome.
And that happens every day.
And it just is another example of the partnerships, how efficiently we all work together. I mean, those folks at the TIAC, and I'm sure it's the same with the Arctic. I mean, they are constantly communicating. They're sending out, important information that our officers need to know. Hey, LCSO has seen this. They let us know. So we need to be looking for this. It's constant communication that I don't think people realize is always happening in the background.
If you're territorial and you're possessive of jurisdictions, and this is our case and that's their case, you're going to lose.
Right.
And there are places around the state and around the country that operate that way. We do not.
No.
Criminals do not recognize boundaries. They float all over the region. So our law enforcement needs to operate and network across the region. And that's what we do.
Yeah. We have the bridge. People think that just because they go across the bridge one way or the other, that they're going to get away. And that is simply not the case.
No, not at all.
One called FHP and you're done.
That's it.
Yep. It's true.
Yeah, we've had a lot of good success.
FHP's been a great partner for us.
They're so good.
They're really and that's been a shift, right? They've always been great, but they've really partnered well locally, better than they ever have, and we're grateful for everything that we've got.
Thanks, FHP.
Yeah, so on top of that, we have a lot of different events going on.
Oh my gosh, I know. This weekend is NAMI. We have the NAMI Walk, which I feel like we talk about a lot, but it's one of our favorite events. We get T-shirts, we get a big team together, and that's for the National Alliance on Mental Illness. And we walk the bridge, and it's like at sunset. It's beautiful.
It's stunning.
Yep.
It's perfect. Yeah.
It's a good time. It's a little warm during the day, but it's at sunset, so it's right when we start to cool down a little bit. And I encourage everybody to go. It's raising awareness. It's like, what is that big crowd? They're walking for mental health. It's taking it out of the shadows. Everybody's impacted either directly or indirectly by it, and it's just a great event.
Oh yeah, it's awesome. And it's just nice to see how many people come from the police department
Yeah.
alone. Like that's one of
We
our
usually have
biggest,
a really
most
good
well-attended
representation.
events.
We do.
But it's something that we're directly impacted by just because it's something that we handle so much. We go to calls and people aren't always in their right state of mind. We have to recognize things, act, and hopefully get them the help that they need and save lives in that way.
Quick story how NAMI helps us directly, right? We talked about all these other things, kind of abstract and how they meet in practical application. CIT training, crisis intervention training, is a big part of NAMI. They put it on and they teach first responders, and in particular law enforcement, how to interact with people experiencing a mental health crisis. This walk and their fundraising efforts, in part, go to paying for CIT training. Our officers are CIT trained. It's a big part. We're a CIT shop, right? And we talked about it on this podcast.
Yeah.
And I think we showed the video where we had an individual who was non-communicative, an
Nonverbal,
adult with a mental health disorder, and using the concepts that we teach in CIT, we're able to have a successful outcome. You usually only see on the news the bad outcomes where a individual experiencing a mental health crisis ends up getting shot, right? And those are the rarity. And there's so many successful outcomes, and those successful outcomes are from, in large part, training, CIT training. And that's where we partner with NAMI for that. That's the number one reason, is that we want to be a positive part of that whole continuum of mental health care. And the way that we can be the positive part is to be somebody that a loved one, so let's say, your adult son is having a crisis. You don't want to be afraid to call us,
right,
to help.
Yep.
And CIT helps us be better prepared to respond so that you can call us and know that we're going to take care of them, and you don't have to worry about the tragic outcome that you see on TV.
Yep. Almost all of patrol is trained now. And then we also have the new officers that are coming in. They get it as soon as they start. It's not like they get it, 2 years down the line.
Right.
They're getting it initially, which I think is huge, especially just in terms of like, you're a new cop, sometimes you're younger. I think it also helps you learn how to talk to people in general on top of people who are maybe in a time of crisis. And it's so helpful.
You may have never experienced anybody up close in a mental health crisis. Or if you did, you were not in this role and somebody else will take care of it. Well, now it's you. What are you going to do? Well, if you don't know, it could be bad, and you see the bad results. So it's a winner. I'm proud to be a part of it, and I'm proud to have pushed people to get that into our curriculum. It is being part of the solution.
Yeah,
for sure.
Another thing we're offering with like acknowledging mental health, we're having the annual candlelight ceremony on March 27th. I think it's 7 p.m. It's either 6 or 7. We have an event on our Facebook page for you to check that out too.
Yes, and our victim advocates have been doing that for a long time, and that's people who have survivors of victims of violent crime or overdose or just an untimely departure. And it's a wonderful event. It's a celebration of your loved one's life. There's plenty of time for grief. Grief will never escape you fully on those, but this is a way to meet with like people who have gone through very similar circumstances. And I usually speak at it, and I'll give you a tip my hand to what I'm going to talk about is that grief is natural, but our loved ones and the people that are gone are looking down on us, and they want us to have some joy.
Yeah.
So let's take this opportunity to celebrate, think of a positive memory, and even if it's on the inside, smile a little bit, and let's celebrate them.
For sure. Last year was my first time I went, and it's like definitely a very powerful event. Yes. It's inspiring to see all these people who come together and share with each other and are very vulnerable with each other and lift each other up. So definitely come out for that if you are someone in that same position.
Taking it back to the beginning, Jason Verdow's mother has been at that event many, many years.
Yeah.
So it goes all the way back to something from 1976. They're not all homicide victims. There are some. There are people who died in traffic accidents, overdoses, like I said. Anything that we have been a part of and our victim advocates who help guide you. And you did a podcast with the VAs, so I don't have to go through that. But the VAs do a phenomenal, wonderful. They do God's work on a lot of cases. So anybody that they've impacted, we come together and we just a kinship of having gone through something like that, a loss, and then finding a way to celebrate the life of those that we did lose.
For sure. Some good events coming up, Chief. It's going to be a good weekend this weekend. Next week. Is that next week? I don't even know what day it is today.
I think it's the following
week.
It's the following
Next week is spring break for Lee County schools and the charter schools. So there'll be a lot of kids out. You get a reprieve on the red speed cameras.
There you go. Always finding a positive, right? There we go.
So be careful because there'll be a lot of kids out. And
PSA to lock your doors.
Yes, lock your car doors.
Those certain kids will be out too, so just lock your doors.
The bored teens who think that that's a joke. Yeah.
Yeah. So
take your guns out of your car. Don't store them in your car. We've had issues with that in the past. I think I heard that people have gotten slightly better recently with not leaving guns in the car, so that's positive. But still continue to lock your car doors. Still having issues with that.
Right. We are big enough now that we're not a leave your doors unlocked town.
No.
Sadly. But
wonderful things come along with that growth. Also comes with some side effects like this. So yes, lock your doors. Remember that spring break is starting, and otherwise have a good weekend.
Have an awesome weekend.
Yeah.
Have an awesome weekend.
Thank you so much, Chief, for joining us again this week.
Got it. My pleasure.
We will catch you next time.
Stay safe. Thank you for listening to the Cape CopCast, where we dive into the heart of the Cape Coral Police Department safety initiatives, community relations, and the insightful stories of different officers that make up our department.
Please like and share our podcast. If you have feedback, you can email capepdpao@capecoral.gov. And remember to follow us on social media. Our handle is @CapePD on all major platforms. Stay safe, stay Cape.